Sorry for that brief pause, just having some connective issues. During each presentation, guests are able to ask questions and can use the Q&A feature to type in questions that are related to the current presenter, and they'll answer questions at the end of their presentation. There will also be a Q&A at the end with all presenters. We would now like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who planned this evening the last few months and made Transfer Connection possible. Santa Barbara City College, Enrollment Services and Transfer Center, Santa Barbara Unified School Districts, Santa Barbara CalSOAP, and the Foundation of Santa Barbara. We would like to also thank and share the distinguished guests here tonight, SBCC counselors, staff, and administrators, as well as high school administrators, counselors, and supporting staff, and local community partners. We appreciate the partnership and value your ongoing support. On tonight's agenda, we will be hearing from and learning about Santa Barbara CalSOAP, the Foundation of Santa Barbara, the SBCC Promise, and again, conclude with a Q&A with all panelists and presenters. Our first presenter this evening is Roselia Martinez from Santa Barbara CalSOAP. Welcome, Roselia, and please take it away.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Roselia Martinez. I am the Outreach Coordinator for CalSOAP. And tonight I'm going to give you a brief overview of CalSOAP, as well as just an overview of financial aid and how you can apply for financial aid. So just to go on more about CalSOAP, we have a slogan, and our mission is to, we're dedicated to increasing the accessibility of higher education opportunities for low-income, first-generation, and underrepresented junior high and high school students in Santa Barbara, Goleta, and Carpinteria. And we're committing to advising and informing students of educational opportunities and resources to help them succeed. Next slide. Who are we? So we are a small team. We have a program director, outreach coordinator, program coordinator, administrative coordinator, peer advisors, and tutors. Our peer advisors and our tutors, we hire them from they're college students. So just like you all here, we hire them in order to just be able to help within the community and encourage students to continue their education. Next slide. So programs and services. So some of our services that we provide financial aid services, workshops, presentation, advising, peer advisors, as well as tutoring. So we're offering online tutoring, as well as one-on-one peer advising. Okay, next slide. So where do we go? We go to many places. So we go to public high schools, DPHS to CARP High School, public junior high schools, Goleta Valley to CARP Middle, as well as private and charter schools, Bishop High School and Olive Grove, after school sites as well, St. George to Franklin Center, universities and colleges, Santa Barbara City College, community organizations such as the Housing Authority. And all our services are being done online due to COVID-19, but one of our coming workshops that we're having are financial aid workshops. So if you haven't filled out your financial aid application, I'm gonna give you all a list of what are our upcoming workshops they're gonna be looking like. So for example, on November 4th, we're having a Cash for College workshop from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Santa Barbara High School. And you may register with the counselor from Santa Barbara High School, or you can also email us, and we'll give you more of our contact information at the end of the presentation. But as you can see, there's a list of our workshops. So please keep an eye out for these workshops, as well as just feel free to always email us, and will assist you with the whole application process. Next slide. So just to go over financial aid, I know a lot of students that I feel like they're wondering, well, when does the financial aid application open up? So the financial aid application already started. So it's not too late to apply for the financial aid application. It's just barely starting, and our deadline for the application is March 2nd. So I say the earlier the better if you apply for your financial aid, just so that you also know your award history on there. So next slide. So what is financial aid? So think about financial aid in 4 different categories. Grants and scholarships, they're need-based and merit-based. Work study, they're student jobs on campus. And loans, they're borrowed money, and you would have to pay back these loans. So for the grants, they're all need-based, so it's free money without repayment. Scholarships, merit or performance-based money without repayment as well. Work study, need-based campus jobs earnings go towards tuition and fees, federal loans. They're fixed low interest rate money that must be repaid. Next slide. So where does financial aid come from? So think about financial aid in this way, that we have a government aid as well as the federal, state, as well, and also the private aid. We have institutional and organizational aid. So for federal-based aid, we have Pell Grants, Federal Work Study, Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant, as well as the Teach Grant, Work Study programs, and you check that with your campus, and as well as scholarships. So with the state-based financial aid, we have the Cal Grant A, B, and C, and also the middle class scholarship. And that's for, let's say you might go, you believe that you might not qualify for the financial aid, if you feel like you don't qualify for that, you can still apply for the scholarship. I mean, not the scholarship, the financial aid application, and it'll also be, you'll be eligible for a middle class scholarship, and that's for if you go over the limit that yeah. And then we have the Chafee Grant, California College Promise Grant, formerly known as the BOG fee waiver, and the Student Success Completion Grant, State University Grant, and the UC Blue and Gold. And for the loans, we have direct subsidized loans, direct unsubsidized loan, and direct parent plus, direct graduate plus, and the dream loan, as well as the nursing loan. Next slide. So why should I apply for financial aid? It's very important to apply for financial aid because no matter where you go, doesn't matter if you're thinking of going to a community college, always apply for financial aid. There's also the Santa Barbara scholarship application, and that already opened up. So definitely apply for the scholarship. I know Hanali is going to go more over the financial aid, well, the scholarship foundation application. So definitely apply for that, and the Cal Grant. So with the Cal Grant, it goes with the financial aid application. So once you complete the financial aid application, you'll be in the if you do your application before the March 2nd deadline, you would most likely qualify for the Cal Grant. And then we have the Santa Barbara City Promise. So that goes with any community college. It's a promise grant that allows you to receive tuition that it's going to be like free. So we also have the California University. So wherever you may go, once you complete this application, it'll take you along all these, as well as private universities and vocational colleges. Next. So where do I apply for financial aid? I know a lot of students, they might be confused. Well, which application do I apply for? The FAFSA or the DREAM Act application? So with the FAFSA application, it's students with a social security number. So definitely, if you're a US citizen, you can apply for the FAFSA application. And also, if you're an eligible non-citizen, you qualify for the FAFSA application. And this application can be found at www.fasfa.edu.gov. And the California DREAM Act, it's for if you don't have a social security number or DACA social security number, or as well as you qualify for the DREAM Act if you have the TPS status, U visa with AB 540 status. And you can find this application at www.caldreamact.org. Next application. And these applications open up on October 1st and as well as the March 2nd deadline. So how does financial aid work? So think about this way: in the financial aid, in order to know what calculation goes into play, it's the calculation of the cost of attendance minus expected family contribution, and it equals the student's financial need. So as you can see on your screen, there's how's that calculation. So it's tuition and housing, books and supplies, food and personal expenses, and transportation minus the parents and sorry, I lost the slide on my part. Let's see.
Rosalie, this is Mary Lou. No worries. Let me go ahead and pull it up. Give me just one moment. Rosalie, can you see the presentation?
Let's see. I can't. I see just like a white line.
One moment. Sorry about that.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, perfect. Now I can see the presentation.
Let me know when to stop, Rosalie.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Continue. And it would be right after this one. Okay, perfect. So when do thank you, Marilu, for helping. Okay, perfect. So when do I receive financial aid? So once you submit your FAFSA application, you go through this timeline. You receive an EFC and student aid report, SAR, and you can get that through your email application. And then the school receives financial aid. So it just goes through this timeline of at this point, you just have to check your email constantly just for any updates. So it's very important to always use your personal email and the best email that you feel like they'll be able to reach you, because there are important deadlines in order for you to like submit your paperwork on time. And also, if there's anything that comes up, you can always contact them and they'll be able to assist you with any questions that you may have. So always just follow the timeline with once you submit it, apply for college and your university choice as well. You'll receive an acceptance and award letters, and you'll submit a statement of intent to register. And then the school also receives your financial aid. So next. So this is the financial aid timeline. So it's just a brief overview of, as you can see, the October 1st submit FAFSA or DREAM Act by the March 2nd deadline. October 1st, apply for college and university. And then it usually closes up on January 31st. Early October, you'll receive the EFC and student aid report, the SAR, and then you'll receive an acceptance and financial aid award letters late March to early April. And as well as you'll submit statement of intent to register in late March to May 1st. And then on September, college university receives financial aid package early in May. Next. So this is another way you can contact us. It's through our website. So you can visit us at calsoapsb.org, or you can email us at calsoap805@calsoapsb.com. And you can also call us at 805-730-7373. Thank you.
Thank you, Roselia. I really appreciate that. Do we have any questions for Roselia before she leaves?
Yes, we do. So we have a few questions here. So there's one question on expected family contribution. So the question is, what if my parents' combined income is over $300,000 a year, but they aren't going to pay for college? Will I get less because of this expectation that will not be met?
So I think it's important just to apply for your financial aid application. You may qualify for the middle class scholarship, and that scholarship is for parents that may make over an income as $300K and above. So definitely apply for the financial aid application. It'll take you to many opportunities, such as the middle class scholarships. And you can also definitely I encourage you to apply to our scholarships that we have in the community, such as the Santa Barbara Scholarship. So definitely there's many options for financial aid. It can be either private or like scholarships.
Thank you, Roselia. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, so here's another one. What if we want to apply for more than 10 colleges on FAFSA? How does it work?
So the limit to apply for FAFSA, it's I believe 10 colleges. So let's say you choose not to, you submit your financial aid application. Let's say you submit the application and then you decide that you're not going to go to that college. So you can actually just remove that college that you applied to, and then just add another college to it, and then you can just submit the application again.
Okay. So here we have another one. Let's see. How do I appeal my financial aid?
For the appealing your financial aid, I would contact your institution and see if there's any other things that you'll be able to do. I'll just recommend, like, for example, contacting the financial aid experts at let's say Santa Barbara City College. Just contact them and they'll be able to provide you with more assistance on that. But if it's something related, for example, you made a mistake on your financial aid application, you can always contact the financial aid. At www.financialaid.gov, you can always contact them for any assistance on accounts as well.
Okay.
So
So
we have any more questions? Oh, awesome.
Yes. So we have, someone wants to know where the DREAM Act money comes from exactly.
The DREAM Act money, it comes from state funding. So for the most part, it's not federal. So it's just more California is the one in charge of it's a state-funded financial aid.
And we have another question. What does the SBCC promise is not a grant mean?
What does this? So it's not a grant in the sense of for it you would have to apply at the institution, and you'll be able to actually they'll be going.
Roselia, yeah, let me hop in there and help you out a little bit with that one. So our SBCC Foundation will actually, or our Santa Barbara Foundation will actually also be speaking on that. So we'll go a little more into detail about what the SBCC Promise is in comparison to the California Promise Grant. So 2 different programs, but we will have our Promise Manager said he'll present on that.
Perfect. Thank you, Marilu.
Of course.
All right, so we have one last question and then we can move on. Are there any other requirements I need to meet to receive financial aid?
In order to receive financial aid, I think it's just important to bring the paperwork itself. For example, your tax information, the W-2 forms to, let's say you want to show up for a Cash for College workshop, just bring in the paperwork, your 2019 income tax, and then we'll be able to help you through the whole process of the financial aid application. And also just know like information such as the separation of your parents, or if they're the date that they married, so the month and the year. But I can actually send out a little form. We have like a little flyer, and it talks about what are some of the documents that you may need in order to complete your financial aid application. So I'll just put it down at the Q&A and share it with you all.
All right, those were all the questions. Excuse me.
Thank you, Johanna. So now we're going to go on to our next presenter, Hanely Tapia Palacios. Hanely works for the Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara. Welcome, Hanely. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mary Lou. So Roselia just covered a lot of information, and we're going to dive a little deeper into what we call private aid. And I want to talk to you about the foundation that I work for. We are the Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara, and I'll wait for Mary Lou to pop that screen up so I can talk to you all about what we do and who we are here in Santa Barbara. So we are a local nonprofit here that are helping students throughout Santa Barbara County, all the way from Santa Maria to Carpinteria and all the small towns throughout our county. We're here to not only help you hopefully get a scholarship to go reach your educational goals, but also help you understand the world of financial aid and how it's here to benefit you. So Roselia mentioned federal aid, state aid, and we are private aid, right? So we're a local agency that helps with scholarships. So these are our 4 requirements in order to be eligible for our scholarships. First and foremost, we ask that you have attended a school in Santa Barbara County for at least 4 years between the grades of 7th through 12th grade. We also ask that you have graduated from a Santa Barbara County high school by June of that current academic year. We also ask that you be planning to attend school full-time as either an undergraduate, vocational, or graduate student. And we also ask that you be a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, and AB 540 eligible. Our new application platform does not ask for any social security numbers, so we're hoping that that encourages more students to apply to us. And on the next page, I'm going to explain to you all how to access our application. So we have switched to a new platform, and we're asking everything to be done online. So you're going to go to our website at www.sbscholarship.org. Our application does open every single year, October 15th. So if you need to remember that date, put it in your phone, put it in your calendar, put it on your fridge. That is the year or the day that our application opens up every single year. We have our general scholarship application that is open for all students from the Santa Barbara County area. As long as you meet our eligibility requirements, you could potentially be able to apply through our general scholarship, which closes January 15th. If you go to our website, you'll go under the tab Apply, which will take you in a couple of different directions. first and foremost, it will obviously direct you towards our application, but it will also direct you towards the breakdown of what scholarships we offer at the Scholarship Foundation. So we offer 3 different programs, and I'll briefly cover them. It's just one is the art competition, and that is for high school seniors in South Santa Barbara County. And then the honors scholarship, which is also for high school seniors in the South Santa Barbara County. But as I mentioned, our general scholarship is open to all of Santa Barbara County students, even past alumni that have maybe graduated and are already pursuing their educational goals or returning to. We want to help you as well. So go ahead and check out our website for more information. On the next page, I just want to remind you all about some important deadlines and dates that we want you to all to remember. So Roselia mentioned the FAFSA and the California DREAM Act applications, right? Open every single year on October 1st. So that's another one you want to put on your refrigerator, right? Or put it somewhere where you're going to remember. October 15th, like I mentioned, all of our applications will go live. You will access those online. January 15th is our general application deadline. So you want to make sure that you have everything in order when submitting that. Especially as a new applicant, you're looking at, letters of recommendation. You're looking at a personal statement. You're looking at list of extracurricular activities and some transcripts, along with your student aid report, which brings me to my last and important deadline, which is March 2nd, right? I don't know if Roselia mentioned this or not, but the FAFSA and the California DREAM Act application have a priority deadline of March 2nd. So in order to be eligible for any of the federal or state aid that Roselia covered, or even our application, you have to get your FAFSA and California DREAM Act done by March 2nd. However, if you notice that January 15th deadline is before March 2nd, right? We obviously know how the calendar works, but you do need to provide us with a student aid report that is generated through either one of those applications. So you need to have that before our general application deadline. And as I continue, we're going to cover our social media platforms. So we are trying our best to reach our students in this really difficult time where we're living in a virtual setting. And the best way we can do that is really touching base with social media. So we created an Instagram specifically to Scholarship Foundation. Well, we've had it for a while, but we're really trying our best to update it on a routinely basis, where we provide you with any tips and tricks that we have about financial aid, but it also allows you to connect with our 4 program advisors. So I'm not the only one here at the Scholarship Foundation. I have a partner that works here also in South County. His name is Raul, along with our 2 other partners up in North County. We're here to help you in whatever aspect of financial aid you might need. But on our Instagram, you can not only access our website, but you can access the application. And our application this year is actually like mobile friendly. So if you're on your phone and you feel more comfortable doing it on your phone, you can do it that way. You can also meet with us one-on-one, and you can sign up for an appointment on our Instagram. And then, of course, we've added some additional resources to our Instagram. So give us a follow for more updates about not only our application, but what is to come about the resources in financial aid. And lastly, make an appointment with us. So Roselia, CalSO, SBCC, we're all here to help you understand the concept of financial aid and hopefully best prepare you for your educational goals. So you can, you're more than welcome to reach out to us via email. Our email is on the screen now. We both speak Spanish, all 4 of us do. So if you feel more comfortable or your family feels more comfortable talking about this in Spanish, we're there to help you. But make an appointment with us. There's a lot of information about the Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara, and we're here to help you reach your educational goals to get you to college and through college. That's our goal. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Hanali. That was a great, very wonderful and informative presentation. Really appreciate you being with us today. Once again, Hanali is from the Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara. Do we have any questions for Hanali regarding scholarships, financial aid workshops, any of those?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you.
So much.
Well, because we don't have any questions, we're going to move on to our next presenter, but I do encourage you to take this moment to write down both Hanali and Raul's contact information. They are definitely great resources If you have not completed that financial aid application, whether it is your FAFSA or DREAM Act, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to them for some support and assistance. Oh, we do have
So
a question.
yes, we do have one question here. It's what size scholarships do they give?
So when we're talking about undergraduates, we can give anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000. We're obviously taking into consideration, right? Our general scholarship is looking at students with financial need, but that's not our only requirement. We're also looking at your cost of attendance, right? Students that have a lot of great extracurricular activities, some great hobbies. Your academics are really high, so there's so much involved, but our scholarships do range anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 or a little more in between.
Okay, we have a couple more questions that came in.
Sure.
Can we get FAFSA and SB scholarships?
I love that question because I always like to clarify the difference, right? So FAFSA, or the California DREAM Act application, are just applications to see how much financial need you might have, right? Versus us at the scholarship, you're actually getting money when you apply to us. Versus FAFSA and the California DREAM Act, it's just an application to see where the financial need is. So if you apply to FAFSA, that's great because that's how you are eligible for our application. That's how those two applications come together. So the money, remember, doesn't come from FAFSA, it doesn't come from the California DREAM Act. It comes from federal aid, state aid, institutional aid, and private aid like the Scholarship Foundation.
Okay, next question is, can an honors applicant apply for the general application also?
That's a great question. So yes, students, we highly encourage students to apply to all three if that's their choice, right? So if a student is eligible to apply for honors, we highly recommend that they also apply for the general, and same with the arts, right? There are students that have received 2 of the 3. The likelihood of you receiving all 3 is very minimal, but we highly encourage you to apply to all 3. But you could potentially receive 1 or more of our scholarships at the foundation, yes.
Okay, and those were all the questions.
Perfect, great questions. Once again, definitely encourage anybody who is in attendance today to contact any of our financial aid representatives, whether it's through CalSOAP or Santa Barbara Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara. And next up, our next presenter is Sergio Lagunas. Sergio works for Santa Barbara City Colleges Foundation. He is the SBCC Promise Manager. Sergio, I'd like to welcome you, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Sergio Armando Lagunas. I work for the Santa Barbara City College Foundation. And let me tell you a little history about the SBCC Promise. This is a project of the SBCC Foundation, and it was launched in 2016 as an investment from the community. It is privately raised funds that is used to cover your college experience at Santa Barbara City College. And as I continue in the next slide, you'll notice that we cover any academic program that you may want to be doing for the next 2 years after high school or the equivalent, which could include some of the top programs at SBCC, such as business, communication, engineering, psychology, and biology. And you don't necessarily have to commit to an academic major. In the next slide, you'll see that we also encourage students to do a career technical education program. For example, health technologies, cosmetology, marine diving, culinary arts, and automotive technology. Whether it is an academic major or a career technical education program, college is covered. And on the next slide, you'll see what we cover. Again, college is covered. We do not provide funding directly to students, which is why we partner with the Santa Barbara City College campus bookstore and the finance office to make sure that we cover those fees for you. What I mean by that is that we cover all the registration fees and mandatory fees that are required, and also any required books or required course materials from your instructors or your professor, anything that's specifically noted on your class syllabus, aka your course outline to see what is required for that particular class in college. In the next slide, you'll see that there are two major eligibility requirements just to sign up for the SBCC Promise. It's a matter of time, and also it's a matter of location. For example, requirement number 1 is that you complete your secondary education within the Santa Barbara City College Community District. So what that means is if you are attending homeschool, online school, physical school, or any of the equivalencies of a high school diploma, and you enroll at SBCC during your first semester or your second semester immediately after high school, whether it is the fall or the spring, you're eligible to sign up for the SBCC Promise. We have a map on the next slide that indicates where exactly is the district map. So it's also equivalent to the SBCC Promise eligibility map, which you can see runs from Goleta down to Carpinteria, which includes the in-between cities of Santa Barbara, Summerlin, and Montecito. On our next slide, you'll see that we have 4 core requirements that we ask for our students in the SBCC Promise. So once you sign up, these are the 4 main requirements that you promise to commit to, which includes applying for financial aid, which could be either the FAFSA, the California Dream Act, or perhaps you only want to submit a CCPG application, also known as the California Community College Promise Grant. And as long as you apply, that is good for us. You don't need to qualify for state or federal aid or statewide aid in order to be eligible for the SBCC Promise. We also ask that you commit to a full-time schedule. That means a minimum enrollment of 12 units or above. You must meet with an academic counselor every semester, and you must remain in good academic standing at SBCC. On the next slide, you'll see that we break down the first requirement, which is to apply for financial aid every single academic year. Applications for financial aid open every October 1st. And some programs require you to apply no later than March 2nd of that academic year. As you can see, there's a difference between financial aid and the SBCC Promise. Again, we cover your registration fees, your mandatory fees, required books, and required supplies. On top of that, you could be eligible for state aid, federal aid, or aid through the California Community College System. For example, the California State could offer you a Cal Grant or a Chafee Grant. The Federal Student Aid could offer you a Pell Grant, a Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, or a federal student loan, as well as the California College Promise Grant could be offered to you by the California Community College System, which includes 116 colleges. And with the California College Promise Grant, it is known more as an enrollment fee waiver. So if you receive that one, then we don't have to cover your registration fees, but we'll cover all your other mandatory fees. On our next slide, you'll see that the requirement to commit to a full-time schedule, that you must register for a minimum of 12 units every fall and spring semester of every academic year that you're involved in the SBCC Promise. So with that, we also have an exception for students in the DSPS or Disability Services and Programs for Students. As long as you have an approved reduced unit load, you can be less than full-time and still participate in the SBCC Promise. On the next slide, you'll see that we also have a timeline of what your 2-year commitment looks like. You do not have to commit to the full 2 years, but if you're going to be at SBCC for at least 2 years, this is what your timeline would look like if you start in the fall. You would be required to take at least 12 units or above in the fall, then in the spring. And then we also offer the SBCC Promise during the summer. And the summer is composed of 2 sessions. They're optional and not mandatory, But if you do participate, there's no minimum or maximum amount of units that you can take. Same thing with year 2. You have a fall and spring semester, and then bonus 2 summer sessions, which is summer after your second year, spring semester. If you are a mid-year graduate, let's say you graduate after fall semester of high school or the equivalent, then it will look similar to this. Your timeline would start in the spring instead of the fall, and then it will follow up with the summer term, and then a fall term, spring, a summer term, and then your last term would be a fall semester if you are a mid-year grad. On the next slide, you'll notice that we have the academic counseling session. Only one is required per semester. That means one in the fall and one in the spring. And during this session with your academic counselor, which is required for the SBCC Promise, you can complete it between August 1st and December 11th for fall, or January 1st through May 7th in the spring. You have quite a few months to get this in. And during this session, you want to talk about your academic planning, your career planning, your interests and majors, changing your major, and many more opportunities to talk through with your academic counselor. On the next slide, you'll notice that we have the requirement for academic achievement. Although we don't have a requirement for GPA or grade point average set for initial eligibility for the SBCC Promise, the SBCC campus does require students to remain good academic standing, and that is aligned with our requirement as well. This is defined by SBCC. SBCC notes it as 2.0 or above to be in good standing. You do not want to be in academic probation or later in academic disqualification. These notices are not sent by us. They are sent by your Dean of Student Affairs. On the next slide, you'll see that we've also described our sign-up process, in 4 separate steps. So the first step is to apply to SBCC. Yes, you must apply as a first-time student, even if you are a dual enrollment student. You must apply for a regular semester, whether it is a fall or spring. You may not apply during the summer if you want to start your SBCC Promise during that time. You will also have to follow the steps to enroll, which includes an online orientation, which includes class planning, and of course, a registration of classes. Step 2, you must create an SBCC pipeline account. That is your student portal that you'll be using throughout your academic career at Santa Barbara City College. It is really important to keep track of all your tasks and assignments on your SBCC pipeline, so you should check it either every day or at least once a week. Not only that, but you also receive messages through your SBCC pipeline email account. That is how we communicate with you. So again, if you already have a dual enrollment and with SBCC, you might already have an SBCC pipeline account. Step 3, review the SBCC Promise eligibility requirements. That is applying for a financial aid every academic year, to commit to a full-time schedule at SBCC, to meet with an academic counselor every single fall and spring semester, and of course, to remain good academic standing at SBCC. And finally, step 4, sign up for the SBCC Promise at our website, sbccpromise.org. You will have, you'll be prompted to sign up using your username and password in your pipeline account. And once you're there, a sign-up page will appear. And once you're there, you have the opportunity to click opt-in to sign up for the SBCC Promise. As you'll see on the next page, the opt-in page section includes the words, "Yes, I would like to participate in the SBCC Promise. I have read and agreed to the eligibility terms above," which are the 4 main requirements to be continuing SBCC Promise student. That also includes a message saying that not only do I understand these terms and agree to them, I also know that if I do not meet these requirements, I will be removed from the SBCC Promise and I will have a balance owed to the bookstore and the SBCC Student Finance Office. So with that, I want to invite you to connect with us, as you see in our next slide. Stay connected by emailing us promise@sbccfoundation.org. You may also call us at our main phone line, which is 805-730-4416. Our assistant, Wendy, will answer your voicemail as soon as she can. You can also visit our website for more information, including our frequently asked questions, as well as our information sheet. We also have a video describing more information about the SBCC Promise. Our main hours are Monday through Friday from 9 to 12, and then of course from 1 to 5. Very excited to share that we have an Instagram account, so please follow us at SBCC Promise, and that is all the information I will provide for you during this presentation. I will now take it back to the team to provide any questions that I may answer further. Thank you.
Hey,
Okay,
Sergio,
yes,
so there
we
are
have-
a few questions. I'll let them take over now.
Okay, there are a couple of questions. One is, what if I have the Promise but leave one of my classes? Will I owe money?
This highly depends on when you are enrolled. If you are a current student for fall 2020 and you started off as a full-time student, you apply for financial aid and you met with an academic counselor, then you will continue in the SBCC Promise for the following term, which is spring 2021. If you drop a class during our eligibility review, which happens today, which is right before priority registration begins, and you do not get rolled over to spring 2021, that would be because you did not meet one of those 3 requirements. Basically, we are looking at students who have committed throughout the entire semester. So that also means that we will not remove you from the current semester. If you are enrolled in fall 2020, you will not have a balance owed, but you just won't be covered for the following semester. And if you go to our website, you'll notice that we have our eligibility appeal process posted, and there's also a link to our appeal form itself. So you want to fill out that form once you get a notification that you are not being rolled over to the next term.
Okay. So next question is, can I take a break after high school without immediately going to college and then join Promise later?
So there are 2 scenarios I will answer this question with. Scenario 1 would be, let's say you don't want to go ahead and immediately enroll at SBCC after graduation. And that means maybe you just want to take a break for 1 semester. So whether you graduate in the spring or in the fall, and for example, let's say you graduate in spring 2020 and do not enroll in fall 2020, you can sign up on our website for spring 2021, and you can do that without a problem, as long as you meet the 2 eligibility requirements, which is to graduate from a local high school and also to do it within that year. Let's say you don't want to participate in the SBCC Promise for fall 2020 or spring 2021 and maybe take a year break or maybe a 2-year break. Well, we do have an eligibility appeal that you can submit, and we can evaluate whether you are eligible to participate in the SBCC Promise, although you did not sign up for the first 2 semesters after graduation from high school.
Okay. So the next question is not specifically about the SBCC Promise. Maybe if other panelists might want to jump in. This question is, how does one apply for the middle class scholarship, or where do we get more information?
I can answer this one. As a previous financial aid advisor at UCSB, I would answer this question a lot. Basically, you want to apply for financial aid through the FAFSA, California Dream Act application, or at SBCC through the California College Promise Grant. But in order to maybe be eligible for the middle class scholarship, you would have to be entering a California State University or a University of California. And if you are going into a four-year university, you want to apply for using the FAFSA or the California Dream Act. That includes all the programs in the state. So if you're a student who considers himself eligible for that middle class scholarship, just submit one of those two financial aid applications, FAFSA or the California Dream Act application. And depending on what the school, what is the cost of attendance, will be your eligibility for that middle class scholarship. Other things also entail, depending on what your household income is and many other details. For example, if you're eligible for other aid, you may not be eligible for the middle class scholarship. It just depends what your best eligibility is, and each campus is going to offer send you an offer of what you're eligible for.
Okay, so last question. What is the difference between the other College Promise and your promise?
So the California College Promise Grant, which we're more likely to call the CCPG, used to be called the Board of Governors fee waiver. Essentially, it's an enrollment fee waiver that you can use at any of the 116 community colleges in California. And as long as you meet the requirements for that, you will get all your registration fees waived by the California Community College system. So that's the CCPG, and it's based on your household income. And then there's the Santa Barbara City College Promise, which is one of over 300 initiatives across the country, which are usually privately funded, as ours is, and it has its own requirements. For example, the SBCC Promise, as I went over today, is not a grant. It's a way to cover your required fees and your required materials at SBCC specifically. If you may be out of the area, you may have a local promise initiative nearby. For example, if you're from Ventura County, you may see that the Moore Park, Ventura, or Oxnard Promise may be a better fit for you. And if you're more in the northern counties, such as in Cuesta College or Allen Hancock College, they both have their own promise initiatives as well. So ours is specific to SBCC.
Okay, so those are all the questions. Thank you.
And do we have any more questions for Sergio? Any more questions about the SBCC Promise? We still have all panelists available. So if anybody has any questions regarding financial aid, whether it's with CalSOAP, upcoming workshops to receive assistance completing your FAFSA or your DREAM Act, this would be a great time to make sure you get your questions asked. And just as a reminder, CalSOAP and Santa Barbara Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara, they are actively working to provide scholarships, or excuse me, provide workshops within the community to assist students with completing their FAFSA, DREAM Act, or CCPG. So definitely reach out to them. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions oh, we do have one more. So for any of the presenters, I'll go ahead and ask this. For any of the panelists, the question is, how do I know if I qualify or if I'm eligible for the DREAM Act? Hanali, do you want to take this one? So how do I know if I qualify or if I'm eligible for the DREAM Act application?
So as Rosalia mentioned, right, we ask students that if you don't have a social security number to go ahead and apply through the California DREAM Act, but there's a little more to it. And there's a law that's called AB 540. Some students fall under, or might refer to it as like the DACA number, or they associate it with that. And all that means is that this law was created a couple of years back, that it allows students that don't have a social security number, that don't have a social security number and that have been living here in California, are therefore eligible to receive in-state tuition and potentially receive state and institutional aid. So it opens that door to make them eligible in order to pay for in-state tuition versus out-of-state tuition. In order to be eligible under the law of AB 540, you do have to meet 3 requirements. The first is that they ask that you have lived in California for at least 3 years, attended a California high school, or graduated from a California high school, and therefore continue your education here in California. If you do fall under those 3 requirements and those 3 eligibility requirements, you could be eligible under AB 540, which therefore makes you eligible for the California DREAM Act application. I hope that made sense.
All right, we do have another question, but this person wants to know if any of these presentations have been recorded so they can watch later.
Yeah, so I can take that question. Mary Lou from SBCC. Yes, we have recorded all of these presentations and they will be recorded through Wednesday. You can find all presentation and webinar information that has been presented today directly on our college website. Right below here, if you go ahead and take a picture of our URL or write it down, that was where you can specifically find transfer connection information. You can also find links to this information by visiting Santa Barbara Scholarship or Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara, CalSOAP, and our SBCC Promise. But yes, all of the presentations will be recorded and available. You can also find this PowerPoint already linked on the website. So if you wanted to go through and, find the contact information or definitions for, FAFSA versus DREAM Act, you can find all of this content on there as well.
So there's another question. This one says, my son will be transferring spring 22 to CSU. When should he start filling out paperwork?
Marilu, do you want me to take this one?
Yeah, if you could take it, that would be great.
Sure. So if your student is transferring in the academic year of 2022 and 2023, right? So not this upcoming academic year, but the following, they would wait until, they should be applying to financial aid every single year, regardless whether they're transferring or not, right? They still need to complete those applications in order to be eligible for the SBCC Promise, as Sergio mentioned, but any other financial aid that I mentioned or Rosalia mentioned. But they should be every single year. Again, the application really starts October 1st. So they should be applying as early as possible once the application opens. So remember those dates that I kind of gave you bullet points for. So October 1st is the day that FAFSA and the California DREAM Act application open, and so on and so forth, right? So we talked a little bit about those applications. So if your student is going to continue their education, right, it's gonna come up around the same time, just in that previous year to them transferring. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. So there is one last question. This one says, will you be doing this presentation in Spanish in the future?
Great question. Yes, we actually were providing and are providing simultaneous interpretation for all 3 nights this week. So tomorrow's presentation and Wednesday's presentation or webinar will also be simultaneously interpreted. The way you can activate your presentation to be presented to you in Spanish simultaneously is at the bottom. You typically have a toolbar. You would click on, I believe it says language or interpretation, and then you could select from going from English or selecting Spanish. So all of the presentation will be available in Spanish. So moving forward, I encourage anybody to join us and everybody to join us for the next 2 nights. Tomorrow is a great night on learning how to access support services for students. Very important to your college success. So I definitely encourage you and your parents or family or friends to join us for tomorrow's night event on how to access college support services. And Wednesday night is our big night, and that is going to focus on transfer success, whether it's you're transferring to SBCC, a CSU, a UC, or a private institute. We will have representatives from all of those areas. So we look forward to you joining us. Once again, the presentations and webinars will be presented bilingually and with simultaneous interpretation into Spanish. And with that, I don't think we have any more questions. I do want to thank all of our presenters for gathering all of this important information and presenting it, and the attendees for joining us and learning a little more and getting some of your questions answered. Once again, please visit us for tomorrow's webinar presentation and Wednesdays. Thank you.